Hello everyone, welcome to another video by Precision Academy. In this particular video, we are going to discuss the tranche 1 of Atma Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan program. And this video is being presented by me, Dinesh. If you want to refer to a different tranche of Atma Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan scheme or view something else related to Atma Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan scheme, all the other videos are linked in the description. Please go check them out. So let's start. So we know that Atma Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan scheme was basically a culmination of a lot of economic packages, a lot of policy changes, and a lot of legislative changes. So in this particular table, we can see what the economic package has been about. O- so all these tranches together amount to 20 lakh crores, and but our focus in this particular video will be on these two sections. So, what the earlier measures were and what was done in tranche 1. So, let us take a deeper dive. So, yeah, earlier measures. So, the value of these earlier measures is 1,92,800 crores. So, let us see how the government actually gave out these 1,92,800 crores. So, in these earlier measures, under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan package, which is PMGKP, 1,70,000 crore rupees was given out to poor people like cash transfers. So that way, there was a lot of liquidity infused into the economy, and an insurance cover of 50 lakh per health worker was announced. So this 50 lakh of 50 lakh rupees of insurance will be applicable to all those health workers who are serving in the front line in COVID 19 duty. So, this scheme is supposed to be benefiting around 22 lakh health workers around the country. And this definition of healthcare workers includes everyone ranging from Safai Karmacharis to doctors, and everyone in between, like nurses, ASHA workers, etc. etc. So, every healthcare worker is insured for 50 lakh rupees due to the ongoing COVID 19 pandemic. And there have been direct cash transfers via Jandan accounts to poor women. So, all of these earlier measures were taken up, and there are some more. So, PF credits to low income workers and advances from EPF. So, Provident Fund credits were given out to low income workers, and some of those employees were even given an advance from their EPF. And there was collateral free lending for women in self help groups up to a value of 20 lakhs. So there were certain tax concessions given out by the government, and these tax concessions amounted to up to 7,800 crores. And PM's announcement in the health sector, which is 15,000 crores. So this particular 15,000 crores was utilized to strengthen our health care system in March when COVID-19 pandemic was about to become very intense. So this 15,000 crores was utilized to strengthen our healthcare system. So these have briefly been all these earlier measures taken up by the government. So they amount to approximately 1,92,000 crores. So that is those are the earlier measures. So now let us take a look at the tranche one. So tranche one actually deals with MSMEs, Employee Provident Fund, Garib Kalyan, and Real Estate Regulatory Authority, and credit. So this tranche one totaled to 5,94,550 crores, which is a very huge amount. So tranche one has been given a lot of importance in Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So let us see what the highlights of tranche one are. Highlights in terms of the of it, economics of it, the policy changes of it, and the legislative changes of it. So we will examine all these highlights: the economic highlights, the policy highlights, and the legislative highlights. So economic highlights. So in tranche 1, so this is tranche 1. So in tranche 1, collateral free loans and emergency credit to restart businesses, including MSMEs, was given out. So these loans were given out without any need of collateral, and they were emergency credit. So since cash flow of all the businesses was affected in COVID-19 pandemic, there was a need to give them liquid cash and equity to companies in order to function properly, including MSMEs. So 3 lakh crores was utilized for this purpose. And a subordinate debt for stressed MSMEs of 20,000 crores was given out. This particular subordinate fund aims to support stressed MSMEs which have NPAs. So if certain MSMEs have NPAs, they get loan from the government from this particular subordinate debt. So this value amounted up to 20,000 crores. And fund of funds for an equity infusion of MSMEs. So a fund of funds was maintained to infuse equity into MSMEs, and this particular fund of funds was given 50,000 crores. So this particular fund's purpose is to improve the equity condition in MSMEs, the fund's purpose is also to get MSMEs up and running in order to get themselves to listed into the stock exchanges and etc. So this was used for equity infusion in MSMEs, and street vendors get easy access to credit amounting up to 50,000 crores. So every street vendor was given approximately 10,000 rupees of credit in order to get their businesses in a working situation easily. So this amounted to up to 5,000 crores. And reduced EPF rates of both employer and employee. So all the EPF rates of employers and employees was reduced, and this costed the government approximately 6,750 crores. Special liquidity scheme for NBFCs, HFCs, and MFIs. So all these non-banking finance institutions and HFCs and MFIs got a special liquidity scheme wherein they were given out easy loans, and this particular amount cost is 30,000 crores. And a partial credit guarantee scheme for liabilities of NBFCs and MFIs was taken up, and this cost is 45,000 crores. And a liquidity injection for discoms via power finance corporations or RECs. So a lot of discoms were given out, have received cash from the government, and this particular value amounted to up to 90,000 crores. So this was to pass on the benefits to the consumers by means of improving the power supply quality and by means of giving a shock absorber to the discoms rather than charging the customers or consumers for their issues like they all usually do. And reduction of TCS and TDS rates. So tax collected at source and tax deducted at source, these particular values have been there has been a reduction by 25% in these particular values, and this cost government 50,000 crores. So this is an infographic by the Ministry of Finance. So 3 lakh crores of collateral free automatic loans for businesses, including MSMEs. So MSMEs and other businesses got 3 lakh crores. And additional working capital finance of 20% of outstanding credit. So even if a particular company has an outstanding credit, an additional working capital finance of 20% of the outstanding credit. So if they have X rupees of credit already, they still get 20% of X rupees in order for them to get back their business on track. So this was given out on 29th February 2020 in form of a term loan at a concessional rate of interest, to be available to units worth up to 25 crore outstanding and turnover of up to 100 crores. So this particular provision is available for units with up to 25 crores outstanding to up to and a turnover of up to 100 crores. So this is the criteria to get this 20 percentage of outstanding credit. So there is no guarantee or collateral required in order to avail this benefit, and 100% guaranteed by government to provide liquidity of 3 lakh crore to over 45 lakh MSMEs. Sorry. So government is actually guaranteeing liquidity of 3 lakh crores to MSMEs, to over 45 lakh MSMEs. So this is basically what the economic highlights of the first tranche have been, and they amount to approximately 5.9 lakh crores, which is a very huge amount. Okay, so let us move on to policy highlights. So far we have discussed economic highlights of tranche 1. So we will now take a look at the policy highlights of tranche 1. So expediting due payments. Payments due to MSMEs from the government and CPSEs will be released within 45 days. So all these payment dues from the government which certain companies have to receive will be released within 45 days. So it has already been 45 days since Atma Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So this particular initiative was announced. So they must have released all those pending payments. And insolvency resolution, a special insolvency resolution framework for MSMEs under the IBC code, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 will be notified. So a new insolvency resolution is yet to be notified by the government. Disallowing global tenders. To protect Indian MSMEs from competition from foreign companies, global tenders of up to 200 crore will not be allowed in government procurement tenders. So what that means is, for any government project which is worth 200 crores or less than 200 crores, no foreign company will be allowed to place a tender. So all these particular projects which are worth less than or equal to 200 crores will go to Indian companies. So that should give us a competitive edge over the foreign companies and a fighting chance for Indian companies. So ease of doing business for corporates. So another reform. So direct listing of securities by Indian public companies in permissible foreign jurisdictions will be allowed. So certain Indian companies can get their securities listed on foreign stock exchanges. So that should make that should make the business going easier for all these very huge Indian corporations which have the capacity to get their companies listed abroad. So these are certain policy highlights. So now let us go take a look at legislative highlights. So in legislative highlights, the legislative highlights basically mean that government is actually changing the legislation in order to make certain leeway and give certain advantages to Indian companies and Indian people in order to push for a self-reliant India. So let us see what changes they have made in the laws. So definition of MSME. So amending the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. So by amending this particular act, the definition of MSMEs have been revised. So the investment limit will be increased from 25 lakh to 1 crore for micro enterprises. So companies with investments of up to 1 crore now are termed as micro enterprises, and there has been an increase from 5 crores to 10 crores in case of small enterprises. So companies with 10 crores of investment are now small enterprises, and from 10 crores to 20 crores for medium enterprises. So companies which now have 20 crores of investment are now termed as medium enterprises. And a new criteria for annual turnover will soon be introduced. So this is a key change. So definition of MSMEs has been altered by amending the Micro Small MSME Development Act 2006. And initiation of insolvency proceedings. So the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016 will be amended to provide for the following. Minimum threshold to initiate bank insolvency proceedings will be increased from 1 lakh rupees to 1 crore rupees. So insolvency proceedings will only be initiated if there are outstandings of greater than or equal to 1 crore rupees, not 1 lakh rupees as it was earlier. Suspension of fresh initiation of insolvency proceedings up to 1 year, depending upon the pandemic situation. So, no new insolvency proceedings will be initiated up to 1 year, and this might be extended depending upon the pandemic. So, how long it lasts and how hard its effects are, etc., etc. And COVID 19 related debt will be excluded from the definition of default under the code for triggering insolvency proceedings. So, any debt that has been incurred during this COVID 19 period will not be considered as default, and under that no insolvency proceedings will be taken up. So this has been a key change for insolvency proceedings for companies. So we can see that a lot of emphasis has been put on companies and how they function in this particular tranche of Atma Nirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So the aim of government so far has been to provide a strong foothold to companies to ride this crisis off. So if we can get through this crisis, so the rest of it should be recovery. So it should be better from there on. So that is the view of government, and that is what is being reflected in all these policies and legislative changes. And amendments to Companies Act 2013. So certain offences under Companies Act 2013 will be decriminalized. These include minor technical and procedural faults such as shortcomings in CSR reporting, which is corporate social responsibility reporting, inadequacies in board report, filing defaults, delay in holding of AGM, which is annual general meeting. So certain minor technical and procedural defaults have now been decriminalized, and they will be shifted to internal adjudication. So these minor offenses have not been made criminalized as they were earlier. So they are decriminalized now, and internal adjudication will be taking place in order to check these particular issues. So CSIR reporting, inadequacies in board report, filing defaults, delaying in holding of AGM, etc. And secondly, currently certain provisions from the Companies Act 1956 continue to apply to producer companies. These provisions will be included in Companies Act 2013. The National Company Law Appellate Tribunal NCLAT will be granted powers to create additional or specialized benches. All defaults by small companies, one person companies, producer companies, and startups will be subject to lower penalties. So, the government is basically giving leeway to small companies and one person companies, producer companies, and startups, and defaults by them will be subject to very low penalties. And certain provisions from Companies Act 1956 will continue to apply to producer companies. So these are basically certain legislative changes. So far in this particular video, we have seen what tranche 1 has all been about, the economic highlights of it, the policy highlights of it, the legislative highlights of it. So in the following videos, we will, in the very similar fashion, examine tranche 2, tranche 3, tranche 4, and tranche 5. So thank you very much for joining us. For more details, log on to our website and contact us on these phone numbers. Thank you.